Um, okay, the bottom line is Humanity Solutions is continuing, is progressing. We have some interesting assignments in the Netherlands. So there's lots of work in the Netherlands with helping the ministry and with innovation and large innovation programs. We've also been doing work in Uganda and Kenya on helping SEMA and helping citizen government participation. And the Summanities just keep going on to build a community and to keep having conversations about these transitions. And today is about the conversation topic: production of goods, sometimes, and production of food. More specifically, how can we make that better, more healthy, more sustainable? And how can we also think about our own consumption? How can we improve our own consumption of food? And if you want to talk about larger things, also consumption of other goods. What could we do to improve our own lifestyle and to give ourselves more options and to maybe make sure there is less harmful things, less pollution, less bad things in the environment and in our bodies, and also to keep our bodies with a good defense mechanism in case there are pandemics or diseases like COVID, etc. I just suggest, I don't have a strong agenda today. I also think we were going to have more food production, food people in the room, but because this group is a bit smaller, I just suggest we all start with sharing a bit of our own views on what are the problems in this area, what are potential solutions, and what do you think, what can we do in our own lives to, to have healthier food and to support healthy production of food and other things. Shall we just do a little round and keep it quite informal? I would suggest we do it like that. Is that fine for you? Just a little check whether Nelson and Ivan, do you also know each other? I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
No.
No?
No, we don't.
Okay,
but we will now that we're in the same meeting.
Yeah, that's nice. Then you can, let's do a little introduction round then, and about who you are, what you do, and what your interest is in this topic, and how you look at this. Okay?
Okay.
Who wants to start? Esther, do you feel like starting?
I'm still writing down my thoughts.
I'll go first then.
Okay.
Okay, Nelson Wainaina from Uganda. I'm also half Kenyan. I work in the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development in Uganda. My interest in the topic is because I have an interest professionally in sustainability. Relating to my work, I have professional interest in urban sustainability, but for this topic, it also feeds into my interest because cities and urban centers at large have a strong connection to sustainability, food security, and health, public health at large. So that's why I joined in. I felt this would be a great discussion.
Okay. Ivan?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Share one slide. Let me share this one slide.
I'll make you, wait, I'll make you a host. Co-host, yeah.
Right
Go
now?
ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Let's do this.
You should be able to share now.
Yeah, I'm giving it a try. Let me see.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be here. I want to do this now so later I will have trouble. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just a little bit about me. My name is Ivan Philip Baguma. I'm a dietitian and a nutritionist. And I bring people in harmony with food. That's basically it. I love food, I eat food. And my biggest interest in this topic is to ensure that people get, information about healthy eating in time so that they don't have to, have health challenges in the future because they did not know what to do at that time.
Okay.
Yes.
Esther, I didn't quite understand you before. Are you feeling unwell? Do you prefer not to introduce yourself, or what do you?
No, I said I was writing things down.
Okay. So, maybe I'll go now, and then you can go later. I'll just Wilfried, CEO of Humanity Solutions, and yeah, we run these talks because we think they can help people and organizations. The one thing that I can also show, maybe that I didn't say, but I think it's relevant now because we're mainly Ugandans in the call, except for me, is that I think you both know that Humanity Solutions we develop some properties that we believe will be more valuable in the future and good for humanity and people involved. And we develop and we work with influencers that are also keen to what we call foresight influencers to make a difference. These are two things. It's quite early days, so we're building these things out. But I'll also share my screen shortly because it can. I can show something that's also relevant for this conversation that I didn't mention yet. In the foresight properties, so one of the things that's also been happening, on the one hand, we're developing a lot of digital properties. So you can see on Humanity Solutions, that's a lot of websites that are interesting for the environment and for the world. For example, Master Your Water Governance is related to mastering the governance of water. So we have some of these digital properties that relate to food or production or water governance, and some also property that with Influencer Marketing Africa, where there are some influencers in Kenya that want to, for example, promote health and wellness. And in the properties, we also have this website, Foresight Properties, where we have there is also a piece of land, an estate in the north of Uganda, the Kinene Estate. You can find more information here. I don't know, maybe I can put it in the chat later. But it describes a piece of land that is approximately 250 hectares, close to Gulu, 30 kilometers from Gulu, and that's a large piece of land with where there's a family and a community that have also asked Humanity Solutions to help them develop this and co-develop this. So we're looking at how can this be used for food production, for the community, for growing a community around it. And we're also looking for people and partners who are potentially interested in joining us in that adventure. So that's also a concrete thing. And I'm saying that because if Evan and Nelson, you're both a little bit in either the lands, looking at the land policies or production or food and wellness, and this is also something that could be interesting for the conversation. Like it could be a concrete property we talk about, what could we do here that could be interesting for food production and food consumption. But it's one of the options we can look at. Okay, I'm just, maybe Esther, what would you like to contribute? Or can you introduce yourself a bit more in this domain?
Hi, everyone. My name is Esther Mutenyo. You all know me, but basically I work with Will in Humanity Solutions. I do, my roles change quite an amount, but for now I am the property developer, the assigned property developer of the Gululand estate. So any ideas for that, please feel free to hit me up. I'm joining this because food and healthy eating is something that is very, very, has impacted people around me without them knowing. Like they have been very woefully either misinformed or didn't have enough information, and now they have to deal with the consequences. So yeah, what I would like to find out, like my major questions would be like a sustainable food system, how to build that maybe as a community or as an individual, and how viable it would be. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Nelson and Ivan, what would you like to get out of this? Is there anything particular you would like to learn or have, or that we could help each other with? I know this is not a large group, and it's so I myself, just as a quick comment on what Esther said, I also know that even if people know what's good for them, they don't always do it. A lot of people eat unhealthy food sometimes, including me, even though you know it's unhealthy. It's just tasty. So we can start talking a little bit about the problem, but one of the problems is unhealthy food is available. Unhealthy food is sometimes tasty. Sugar and salt are added to many things to make them more or less addictive, some foods. So these are some problems, and there's a lot of industrialized agriculture which can be very good, but can also, is also sometimes mainly about money rather than health, which can also bring some problems. I don't know, let's just keep talking a bit. You pitch in when you think, hey, that's interesting, let's build a bit more. What do Ivan and Nelson, do you two have a certain question? Is it interesting for you to think along with us around this Gulu land, for example, or would you rather, do you have another question on your minds that's important?
Personally, I've had, I think, a number of questions and maybe concerns people are having about food, especially when it comes to diet, because I have what Esther talked about, having her people around her who have challenges maybe due to diets unknowingly. And maybe I can just go through just a few slides I prepared just about those questions so that at least I can give my contribution to this conversation. And then from there, maybe we can delve a bit deeper. If that's okay.
For me, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
So first things first, can you hear me clearly?
Yeah.
Okay, I hope there's nothing
blocking
the screen for you. Usually the small dial-on for the Zoom usually blocks. Are you seeing a blocked part of the screen? Just to be sure.
Yeah, we see it well.
You see it well. Okay, let me do that in the corner. So today I going to talk about harmony with food. It's one thing for us to create a system which has plenty of food like we do in Uganda. And it's another thing to have people to actually consume it because, like you said, the challenge of mindsets and maybe people not knowing what's good for them. Some do know what's good for them, some don't know what's good for them. So I want to start maybe with the ones who do not know so that I can just share a few things in a simple way that they can maybe get to know about what's good for them. For starters, in this presentation, it will just be very few topics. One of them is mindset change. The other is what foods you can enjoy, what foods should you moderate, Yeah, what foods should you limit? Not have a lot of it. And did you know there's 7 more dimensions to well-being besides healthy eating? I don't know. Do you?
I think you mentioned them last time, so we know them a little bit, but it's good to mention them.
I'm very passionate about that because I used, I'm a nutritionist by trade, and many people always come to me about food and what should they eat, or they want a diet plan, a meal plan, or weight loss, whatever the case might be, if it's diabetes, cancer, whatever. But they don't realize that their health is affected by much more than just food. Because if you deal with healthy eating alone, you have other challenges that you do not know you're facing that can lead you to go off your diet. But I'll talk about that at the end, since it's really a minor for this conversation. Mm-hmm. So in this conversation, my very first thing I wanted to put forward was that you cannot help anybody in the world, man, child, woman, whoever it is, to change their diet unless they change their thoughts first. Because even though there's somebody in the waiting room, can we admit them?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. So even though you have access to all this food that's healthy, unless your mindset is changed, nothing can change. Because a person whose thoughts are always thinking, maybe if I eat these, how am I eating vegetables? Vegetables are tasteless. I don't like this. I like that. Or maybe healthy food is expensive. Whatever kind of mindset somebody may have or excuse they present, it's impossible to help them with the diet because you give them a diet plan and it will not be helpful to them. So to change body composition, somebody has to first change those thoughts that cause the habits that they literally cling to, that cause them to be the way that they are. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about smart eating because that was part of the topic. How do you transition from that level to eating smart? I'm just going to do the first stage. One, I just want to ask you to change your mind. Whoever is on this call or whoever is not on this call and you want to talk to them about healthy eating, ask them to change their mind about their perceptions about food. The next thing I'd like to talk about, I don't know if this is, yes.
I'm just going to say hi to Harriet. Hi, Harriet. We're having a small group today, but now an interesting presentation on smart food consumption first.
Oh, great. And nice to be here. And I'm sorry I was a little late. Something went over, but I'm glad to be here.
No problem. Welcome. Okay.
Right. So, yes, please. Intentionally, I didn't put any images here because in different parts of the country, people have different types of foods. So I know some foods are obviously common, but when I mention them here, there must be a food that comes to your mind. So when I talk about the foods you can eat, enjoy in abundance, fruits and vegetables, you can never go wrong with those. I've had stories about maybe what if they're sprayed with maybe pesticides, what if they're GMO, GMO for maybe the layperson would be genetically modified, and the like. And I say that the benefits of eating fruits and vegetables outweigh the risks of not eating them. So it doesn't matter whether that vegetable or fruit is sprayed. You can wash it using maybe baking soda. You can add vinegar and maybe add running water. So you make sure you wash the fruit or vegetable thoroughly and remove the surface contamination. That will be important because you can even have them 50% raw. You can have the vegetables raw. People say, how can I eat cabbages without cooking them? And yet they can be really tasty. Nuts and seeds are also very good and high on that level of foods you should be eating. So if you're thinking about a sustainable food system, one of the foods you should prioritize are fruits and vegetables. If you look at any place you are, like you've mentioned, you have a farm that is in Gulu. Most of the farms in Uganda or anywhere in the world, many of them, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's commercial purposes, they usually have a farm that's having a lot of energy-giving food. Maybe it could be maize, it could be anything that can last, maybe beans or any other food that is really good for dry rations, which can stay long and not die fresh because of the market, and I say fluctuations and all that. But if you can have fruits and vegetables grown in the gardens at home, it would be really good to help when it comes to healthy eating. Yeah? Because most people nowadays, we see who fall ill of things like diabetes, maybe cancer, or even high blood pressure, sometimes it's because they have deficiencies in their system that they could really do away with if they ate more vegetables and fruits. Things like spices and seasonings could be really good to put into your food because they really make it tastier and they have health benefits. You can have herbal teas, there's ginger, there's hibiscus. I don't know what other things people might have wherever they are, but chamomile, mint are really good teas, and you can take those to relax and take them plentifully because, for example, hibiscus tea is really good when it comes to lowering somebody's blood pressure. You know, black tea has been shown to reduce stress. Green tea has been shown to improve concentration. So those things can be good for people to do, yeah? What foods can you moderate? It's important to know that whereas you may enjoy animal foods, even if it's organic or safe, a little bit of that is advisable, not so much of it. We've seen a rise in colon cancer worldwide, and the science shows us that most people who have colon cancer, it's usually linked to a diet which is high in animal food, meats and the like, red meat and all the other foods like that. So I'd recommend you just limit that, maybe once a week, maybe 3 ounces. 3 ounces is literally one piece of the chicken breast, which is skinless, can be just at each meal. So once a week would be ideal. So we're looking at things like oils. I know oils are a very, very sensitive topic because it's quite a good thing for the economy to extract these oils and sell them. But if it's extracted from its natural form, I recommend you moderate it because an avocado is really good. You can eat an abundance of avocado and probably get satisfied and stop there. Or it could be olives, could be coconuts, could be sesame. I don't know what other oily foods you might have, wherever parts of the country you might be, or the world. But when you extract them from their natural form and eat them the way they are, they may give you a little bit of side effects compared to when you have them in the fruit whole, because there are many more benefits like the fiber that you might miss out if you get all the fruits and these seeds and make them into oils. So eating them whole is advisable. Legumes, these are things like beans, peas, and lentils, groundnuts. These can be eaten in moderation. Say just a quarter of your plates, can be legumes at a meal. Just helping you to just refresh our minds so that we can know what idea we can have when it comes to food. Because to make sure that whatever food basket we make, whatever food idea we have out there in the community, literally has all the food groups and in the right quantity so that people don't have deficiencies brought about by that risk factor. I'm looking at things like starchy vegetables, The pumpkins, sweet potatoes are one of my best, and yam, These are the foods that are commonly available here. I want to use specifically the ones available in my area code so that it's easier and maybe faster for us to go forward. Things like whole grains. I know oats are available all over the world. We have the rice, but the brown one, not the one which is literally white, and you can tell that this rice has been processed. And refined maize. You'd rather eat maize than to eat, because some people call it corn, instead of eating it as portion. Yeah. So what food can you limit?
Can I just ask, because it's nice if we can also still have a little discussion with the group today and get to know Harriet?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Can you do this in 10 minutes or so? Or how much time do you think you need for the presentation?
I can do that in less. If you say 10, I can do in less.
Okay, so let's just not more than 10, then we still have time for the group discussion.
No problem. Okay. So literally, what foods can you limit? Foods like refined sugar, artificially sweetened drinks and beverages, any sort like sodas, things like refined wheat, processed cereals like rice, maybe cornflakes. You rather have the rice itself than have the cornflakes. Looking at processed meats, salami, sausages. This is a lot of breakfast. I recommend if you're having breakfast, at least have fruits for breakfast. Yeah. We also have someone new on the call. I don't know if you'd like to welcome them. Maybe Winfred?
Yes. Welcome, Regina. Good to meet you. We're just having a presentation by Ivan, and afterwards we can have more discussion. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So extracted oils, I mentioned this before, and things like margarine, jams, barbecue sauce, such things, we could do without them, at least limit them. I usually like to leave some tips behind, when I give a presentation. Just come and take home, at least if you attended this presentation, you just have to take water every day, 8 to 10 glasses. So if we're thinking about a sustainable food system, there has to be clean water. Yeah, clean water. You can't do without that. And if we can infuse that water with fruits and vegetables, we can get much more benefits from that. So I recommend anybody who's designing one to at least have an idea to have a dispenser with infused water. That one thing can change an entire community. Breakfast, you can have just 2 servings of fruits at breakfast. That would be the ideal breakfast for me. I don't recommend anybody waking up to sausages and maybe eggs and the like. I know there are many other nutritionists here who may have an opinion on what on these matters, so I'll share mine. Sometimes people ask themselves, when we come to a sustainable food system, people, in most cases, as we've seen an obesity epidemic, some people are literally not having a challenge with scarcity of food, but they have plenty of food, yes, but they're undernourished and some are overweight. So a few tips here and there to help them lose weight would be ideal. For example, positive thinking. Like I said before, it's much more than just food in itself, but more of the mindset you approach the food by. You can have half your plate vegetables, you have to stay hydrated, at least take 2 liters a day. And if you're preoccupied with snacking, you can eat fruits. If you're not sure where you're going to, you can pack your own meals. And you can exercise 30 minutes a day and don't eat too close to bedtime. It's not advisable. But there's someone new on the call, Wilfred, maybe you can also say hi to them.
Yeah. Obianoyu, hello, welcome. But we'll have the group talk just after this presentation.
All right. So weight loss is 80% nutrition and 20% exercise. This is common knowledge. So if anybody wants to maintain a healthy weight in their community, they have to emphasize nutrition just as much as they emphasize exercise. Exercise recommendation would be about 30 minutes per day. Yeah, this would be really smart if you're eating healthy to also exercise, at least 30 minutes a day. And you have to rest. This is something that's not talked about a lot, but if you don't have adequate rest, you will have cravings for unhealthy food. Like when Wilfred mentioned earlier, that some people, even though they know what's good for them, they end up eating unhealthy food. So I'd recommend they have rest. Yeah, if you can sleep 7 to 8 hours a day, that would be ideal. Meditate, you can nap powerfully, you can just relax each day so that you don't have wrong food choices happening all the time. This is just a reminder for all of us here who usually like to work and maybe pretend not to know that healthy eating continues at work. So it's good for you to have this on your table somewhere pinned and remember that healthy eating continues at work. So wherever you are in the community, if you're doing community work, if you're doing desk job, whatever it might be, it's important for you to remember that healthy eating happens everywhere you go. Just a caution, when I'm talking about food processing and maybe production, supplements are made from food. I personally do not have a challenge when it comes to supplements, and I recommend that those who have deficiencies take them. And in every community, I recommend we have some supplementation. For example, vitamin A for the little ones. We can have maybe multivitamin for those who are older, just to have them receive their daily dose and recommended values. Sometimes it's different because of the communities you live in or the lifestyle we live. We have a lot of stress and maybe stresses that may take away these nutrients from us. You just have to take them cautiously and make sure that you check with your professional before you take any of those. What are the guidelines? I've mentioned these already, but for those who have just joined the call, can just be reading through. And one thing I'll just mention here is that we have this, World Organization has the 5 a day of fruits and vegetables. I want to stress that again today, that we should know that if we're planting, let's plant more vegetables and fruits, alongside those dry rations that we usually do. If any food gives you discomfort, just do away with it, because it's not a must for you to eat every food. If your food gives you abdominal discomfort or any adverse reactions, you should drop it. It's not advisable to keep eating it. I'm just here to remind you that in case you forgot, healthy eating is cool, You should remember that. That's it from me. Thank you so much. You give me 10, I just use 5. I think. I don't know.
Thank you, Ivan. It's I like it. It's simple and it's a good reminder. And I learned a few new things. So for me, this was very helpful, and I'm glad it's recorded. It's yeah, some other people can really benefit from this. The 3 new people who just joined the call, maybe you can say, maybe I'll just give a little bit. Yeah, just as a reminder, we're doing a monthly session, which is a transition talk. We always pick another topic. Sometimes there's more people joining, sometimes less. Today is a fairly small group, but we can have a more personal, informal conversation. And today is about production, food production, consumption as a whole. And typically we talk about what are the biggest problems in these areas that you see in your context, from your profession, in your environment. What are the interesting solutions you see, and what are personal decisions you make as to what you buy, what you stop doing, what you work on, some of these things. Humanity Solutions also has a piece of land in the north of Uganda that we could use to produce food, and where we are starting to, it's a pretty large plot where a family and the community there is looking at, okay, how can we develop this? It's 200 hectares big. So we're also looking for ideas and suggestions on that. That could also be a particular sub-conversation if we wanted to. But maybe the new people on this call can briefly introduce themselves, who you are, what you do, and what is your interest in this topic, and what are the biggest problems or interesting solutions you see. Maybe Harriet, you can start with that.
Sure, happy to do that. Well, I'll start with this subject and then I'll go into what I'm doing. But I mean, this subject is near and dear to my heart. I've been involved with food and health systems since I was in college, or before that, I would say even. And so this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. I think it's something that's very tough to, it's one of those systems that we have that's very hard to move. And I'll talk just from two different angles. One being, in the United States, it's very hard to move because we've become such a big ag system. And I just actually drove across the United States last month and went through, the Midwest, and which is primarily agricultural. And, there's just field and field and field of food being grown for animal use or for ethanol. And entirely, there's not even a vegetable garden in sight. So it's something that's very embedded in our country. I do see it in smaller pockets elsewhere. I think we have transported that idea of big ag to other areas of the world, which is very upsetting as well. I do see pockets of real change, and I've talked to people who are changing it in Indonesia, in Ghana, and in different places. And I think there's a real movement in that direction. I just think it's very tough to change a system. For example, during COVID in Hawaii here, I didn't even realize this, but 90% of the food that's eaten in Hawaii is imported from elsewhere. I always thought, you'd go to Hawaii and just eat off the land. Wales is similar. Wales is primarily agricultural, but they import 90% of the food they eat. They are experiencing a huge rise in chronic disease. But I do believe there's a lot of discussion. I do believe that part of this has to come from governance. Part of it has to come from investment. I think it has to be a consumer, interest as well. I mean, I just think all these parts of the system have to go in and illustrate that they're willing to make those changes. I've seen it in Wales because I'm working on the Wales project. So they're really interested. They see the relationship now between health and food, but it took us coming in and bringing people together at the table and having that discussion, people in the health industry and people and the farmers and the educational and the conservation leadership, to actually understand the interrelationships between food and health and environmental health as well. So I don't know, it's a tough subject. I I get frustrated because even in my own discussions with people who do know and understand, they complain about the price of food. We haven't priced food the right way. Food is labor intensive. It should be priced accordingly, and I think that's part of the problem too. It's been minimized. There's a guy in Europe right now who's really trying to drive that regenerative ag. Philippe Berker. I don't know if anybody's familiar with him, but he's definitely starting that movement across Europe, which is really, really nice to see. And I see it elsewhere as well. So love to talk more about it. I myself haven't eaten meat since I was 18. So I don't tell people that right off the bat, because especially when I'm out west and there's cattle ranches after cattle ranches, I just say that, for me, it was a personal decision, but we need to, the food that's going to cattle ranching across the world is just astronomical, and lamb and, all food, for meat production. There is someone I just got off the phone with who is part of a movement in terms of the fishing industry. They're now developing cell-based fish. So much like the from a petri dish. So much like the meat industry, they're now developing fish that is coming from from biotech, which I think is, and they've got like $85 million invested. So I think across the world. So I think that's going to be a huge movement in terms of ocean retention and conservation. I am right now involved in all kinds of systems work. Some with the Whales Project I mentioned, some with civic engagement. So I'm involved in a movement to try to create a platform to generate a much more expansive civic engagement across every single category of civilization, and generate financial rewards for innovation in real systemic change. And then I'm involved in a blue ocean economy focused on bioregional development and story mapping around bioregional issues and tension points. And then I am also just certified as a sustainability consultant with a European firm, but they're trying to move to the US because they're focused on systemic sustainability consulting, which has not been a big focus in the US in the larger consultancies here. So that's sort of a short form. Sorry if I talk too much.
No, it's great. Thanks. And it's, let's follow with the circle and we see where this discussion takes us. Jeff, let's first see what are the interests and the expertise in the room. Obianu, can you tell us a bit more about yourself and what brought you here? What's your interest in this topic?
Hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. I'm a Nigerian in my own country. It is 7:46 p.m. So here we say good evening, but depending on where you are, good morning and good night. All right, my name is Obianuju Ojikwe. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I get to be in touch with this through the help of Esther. She has really been following me up via LinkedIn, and I find her interesting though. Like I said, I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I'm an educator. I'm a nutrition advocate. I do so many things about nutrition. I go on radio, I go on television, I WhatsApp, Facebook, any media, any platform I see, I disseminate my information. Not regarding that, I still have hospitals I'm working with. There's no, I don't know how to fix it, but I'm not employed in any government hospital. No, I am not. But in my area, I tried my best to establish three dietetic clinics in three different hospitals, because in my area, I noticed that there is only one hospital that has dietetics unit. So, and that is a federal medical center. I said, no, that is a center hospital attached to University of Nigeria. So I said, no, it is too small to serve my country, to serve my vicinity. And now, yes, with some of the directors in the hospital, I presented my proposal to them. I gave them the pattern I want to run it, how everything will work out and all that. they saw the passion and they adopted it. So about 4 hospitals consented. I sent to some hospitals, but about 4 consented. I can't kill myself, really. So I picked 3. I rotate it. Monday, I go to this place. Tuesday, another one. So I kept on doing like that until I landed in a particular national survey. We just concluded national food consumption and micronutrient survey. I don't know if you may know it. Nigeria just concluded it. The dietary section, National Food Consumption and Micronutrient Survey, organized by the implementing agency is the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. I'm part of them as a consultant, dietary intake interviewer. So we just concluded that. I forgot to say I'm still a student, an MSc student in University of Nigeria, Nsukka. So currently, I am doing my MSc. I am taking after my hospital in as much as I've fixed my colleagues because I've been away for a while. I fixed my colleagues, I monitor them, they give me feedbacks, they're doing fine. Notwithstanding though, I still do private practices and I belong to a medical team too, Uga medical team, in which we'll try to give free medical outreaches to people. And I still belong to a particular NGO, non-governmental organization at this is a team of nutritionists and dietitians. We came together, we established Diet 234. What was our goal? We tried to reach out to people, like in COVID time, we did, we call it proceedings. We donated food bags to people. We educated them on nutrition, COVID, and all lots of it. So I don't want to say I'm multitasking, but I just have that passion in me that let me do best to my people. And, you know, one major problem we have in this country, I'm sorry to say it, my people, they like copy and paste. Like we copy and paste so many things. We copy diets, we paste it. Let me explain myself. Sometimes they'll copy diets that is not suitable for them. They will paste it on their body. You know, one of the presenters said, you must not eat all food. Yes, I want to applaud the person. Some people, they'll copy a particular pattern because it worked out for Mr. A. They wouldn't know whether their body situation or condition is, as in we need such. They will bombard them. So most of the times, I see some diabetic patient. What did you take? So they took one herbal, this thing. This person prescribed that it was wonderful. She took it, and later it triggered, started diabetes and all that. So when I say quackery in this, the nutrition is not really regulated. Nutrition information is not really regulated in this my country. Everybody can pop up in the whole website and post one thing or the other they want and what they don't. So you as a professional, you don't have to battle with them before you can convince them. And how many are we and how many are passionate to do it? What can I do? I'll do the little I can and rest. Then myself, I have a challenge. I want to say that dietetics in this country still is not so strong. I want to. In fact, I don't know how to actualize it, but I just want a particular dream come true that we have specialization in this profession. Like me, I want to specialize in metabolic diseases. If you talk about dietitian, let me know it's metabolic diseases I specialize in, not jack of all trades, master of none. But I'm not sure, I'm not seeing anywhere I can do it in this country. So if peradventure there is anybody that wants to train someone that will bring back something to Nigeria, please, I'm available. Train me. Let me give my people wonderful taste. I'm so sorry for talking more, but this is just my pressing need and the challenges I'm facing. Thank you.
Thank you. You can talk very fast. So there was a lot of content in there. Thank you very much. It was interesting. In the survey in Nigeria, what came, do you know what came out in that national survey of the food habits or the problems around it? Is that something you can summarize shortly?
Currently, the result is not out. Okay. I'm not sure I have but myself, I was able to see some findings myself, if I'm to say based on what I saw in the field, but I don't know whether I have the right to say. The result is not yet out. We are still waiting. We just concluded 2nd of this July. That's 3 weeks ago or so, 2nd July, we concluded our own section in which biomarkers, they are to go back to the field and continue with whatever they are doing. So I'm not sure. I think my hands are tied to say what I saw, but okay. I know there is some, maybe in less than no time, they will publish the results.
Yeah, okay, then we'll wait. Regina Montege, can you share a bit more about who you are and what your interest is in this topic?
Yes, I'm Regina Nantage. I was invited by Esther. It's a very interesting dialogue we are having. I'm seeing a colleague I know was presented. It's interesting to have these conversations. For me, my concern, I may not directly address the key topic, but broadly what I'm picking is we are trying to find out how to help people do better. And as a practicing dietitian, doing both clinical practice and working on a personal basis online. For the clinical, I work at hospitals, just like everyone else has mentioned, and I'm seeing patients who are diabetic, hypertensive, and then on a personal basis, it's commonly weight loss programs and addressing deficiencies like anemia and sometimes consequences of poor diets like constipation at personal level and for families. The biggest really concern is draws from the aspect of sustainability of the diets we recommend. It is really a process to get someone from the mindset of what they believe is right or proper nutrition to what works for them as an individual. What I mean by this is that we have information. We have attended this amazing call, for example. It has given us a broad picture of, healthy eating for us all. But at the end of the day, each of us here has different environmental factors that trigger why in a place where there is no vegetable, but there are cookies and she wants to take a cup of tea and a snack. You may find that some of us have triggers related to the social aspects, the people we are with, your friends, your workmates, business people meet out together to drink a beer or to hold a business meeting. So all these are environmental triggers to dietary behaviors. And most of the time as health professionals, not only nutritionists, we look at motivation in terms of, you see, when you eat right, you will get this. But that health value is really far-fetched for the average human being. We are sort of built to just value options at that point of decision making where you're thinking, okay, I'm in a place where I have to take a beer, or, I already had my energy foods for the day, but someone is offering me a soda, let me have it. People will weigh the options, and the thing that the dietitians are communicating about the impact of, saying no to that soda if you've already had your sugars from the starchy food versus the risk of them not having social time with a friend, for example. They weigh the options. So most people will choose to enjoy that social time because they feel the soda will facilitate that event. We have seen people, even among us, our own families, where it's a birthday and they will buy lots of, sweetened beverages when they have stocked up fruits in the house. And commonly they've been making fruit juice, even healthy eating households, they've been making fruit juices probably on a daily basis, but because they have visitors, they presume that socially a party should have, sweetened drinks. So there are those aspects of how much people value health versus the other factors, the social status, whatever, that we really have to address. And for me, if we are looking at this and helping people adopt to healthier choices, that is something that we have to really put into action, because that's where the other people promoting, I don't like to call anything unhealthy because it's broad to say a food is unhealthy, but let's imagine people are promoting cookies for children, for example, instead of promoting a fruit as a snack. They are intense with their marketing. They've associated this cookie with playtime. They've associated this cookie with fun. They've decorated it to look good. They're going to put a candle over it, you blow, it's exciting. You don't want to offer a child an apple on their birthday and enjoy it because of this strong marketing. So if we are investing in this, we have to be hard on it as our counterparts are hard on it. And that way we shall indeed transform communities' choice of food, because we know that access alone is not what defines the choice of food people make. But of course, access is important. So it's very exciting to know that, you know, you're talking of land and what can you do with this? Definitely, the access will have a part, but if we go ahead and even market beyond just access to the food and access to knowledge, then we shall indeed change lives. I don't want to go so long, but just to let you know what I do is to help people sustain the healthy habits by really listening to them and knowing what triggers they are around them, of course, with my dietetics knowledge. And I always tell the people I work on that this is a lifetime diet, because you have your body with you for life. And that's one of the concepts that has helped me really, without strong marketing, to help these people value the impact of healthy foods over the value they have for the unhealthy options, because they now get the mindset of, I actually have a body and I should love myself. And I'm happy to say that for weight loss, for diabetes care, I have people I've worked on from 4 years ago and they're still in control of their diets. So that is indeed sustainability, but it starts with giving them the value.
Yeah, great.
Beyond just
in which country or place are you based, Regina?
Okay, so I'm in Uganda, Kampala to be precise. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Great. I see Harriet is leaving, but Megan just arrived. Megan, can you also introduce yourself and tell us what your perspective is on this topic and problems and solutions? Hi, Megan.
Yeah, that I actually teach people how to cook healthy. And I find that in the US, we have a huge problem that people do not cook for themselves. And as the past year and a half, I would think that has increased a lot of people learning to cook for themselves just from the pandemic aspect. But that being said, we probably should be coming into understanding healthy food makes a healthy body, or fresh produce, number one, getting all the nutrients we can out of our food. But a lot of people are very disconnected to their food, and they go to a lot of fast food places, at least here in the US, and they put junk in their body. And, you know, everybody has to eat, but just raising it to the next, everybody has to, needs to start eating, I call it from the ground up, and stuff that comes from the earth and things that have better nutrient content and actually help the body function at its prime level or premium level that it's meant to work at. And we just, I know here in the US, we've gotten so far away from what is real food because of convenience, and we're all so busy. Where do we all need to go? Because if you don't have your health, what else will you have? And we've seen a lot of that, and it's ongoing. So for me, I go through education and through culinary aspect, and just teaching people basic recipes, but from that which is growing in the garden or from the produce section of the grocery store. I'm not, I'm a recovering vegan, if that makes sense, but I eat pretty much everything, and I teach a lot of just healthier ways to cook stuff. and just kind of it's really just common sense, and everybody's just at their own speed and at their own pace. But I think when I'm in a lot of online groups that are whole food, plant-based, and usually those people are so desperate to learn because their body is so far off from healthy, and they've usually gotten a diagnosis or something from their doctor, and so just kind of bringing them into the playing field of, you know, taking time to learn food and good food, and learning how to prepare it and to love it. So I think attitude is number one.
Yeah. And how do you teach people? Is that on a one-on-one basis, or via books, or internet? Or
well, I do cooking classes at several places. I live in Atlanta, so at the Atlanta Botanical Garden, we have an edible garden, an outdoor kitchen. So I've been teaching there for 10 years. And I also, places like Whole Foods Market and other adult cooking schools. And then I do online Zoom, and for company, you know, motivation and you know, cooking classes can be fun. So a lot of health and wellness events for companies, because all the companies that I do lunch and learns or health and wellness events with, they all want healthy employees. So what better way to go through food? Because again, we have to eat. So if we have to eat, we have to make a choice. And if we can make better choices that help our body function without, you know, a lot of distress, I guess, then you know, living healthy, happy lives is what we're all here for. So I've been doing this a long time, and talking and teaching, and I absolutely love what I do, and I do recipe development as well. So I try to incorporate all those things that people don't get in their everyday lifestyle. So
yeah, nice.
Right.
It's nice also to have someone here who teaches people how to cook. Yeah, that's another that's another perspective. Welcome, Megan.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to have you with us. Maybe some people had to leave the group. What I would still suggest that we do like two exercises, and then we can have an open conversation. Maybe Nelson, is there anything you want to add from your perspective, more as a sociologist, from a ministry? How do you look at this? Food production, healthy food consumption.
Thank you, Wilfred. Actually, from the contributions of the other contributors, I think we're focused mostly on personal choices and things that we can do at a personal level to make sure that we are consuming food sustainably. But from a sociological perspective, and as a person who works with cities and human settlements, I kept thinking when people were talking that, you see, the decision to consume is determined by very many factors. For example, here in sub-Saharan Africa, we are highly urbanizing, and that means that there are very little people who are producing food. Most people are moving in cities, and the decision to eat in cities is maybe is determined by convenience, price, access, you know. So for very many people, they don't have the decision to choose what they have to eat. They always choose the option that's most accessible, most convenient, and the cheapest. So the other side is that for the production side, people who remain maybe in the rural areas and they produce food for cities, they look at things to produce the highest quantity of food in the shortest time possible. So also this has other ramifications like unsustainable agricultural practices, like using a lot of chemicals to produce the food that in the end also goes to the city, and you may have other health concerns when this food actually reaches the city. So generally, I would think that to find middle ground would be a situation where we can get intersection between sustainable production and consumption, because at the end of the day, the choices people make people are very conscious about their health, but sometimes there are other factors like financial status, location that influence people's eating habits. So that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Nelson. Okay, Esther, is there anything you want to add? Otherwise, do you want to share your views on this? I think you did in the beginning, so I don't know if you have more to say.
No, I'm still listening in.
Yeah, okay. Let's maybe for everybody, what we also do is we're doing this every month about other topics, and we are making a little booklet that's called Navigating Volatility, which is to help people to deal with that they are facing many changes, for example, urbanization or industrialization of food or digitization of the work. And so we're making a little booklet with all the tips we collect in all these transition talks. I would like to ask you to join me on 2 small exercises still, and then we can finish with a last round circle. The first exercise is if you would take a step away from your context and your job, and you take a moment. I know it sounds terribly big, but to think about humanity as a whole and food production and consumption, and you look at the system or the personal behavior choices, if that's more your field, and you think, what is the most fundamental problem faced by humanity when it comes to food production and consumption? What is the most fundamental problem that you think that we should try to tackle, that we should find solutions for with Humanity Solutions? And you can write it in the chat. Just you can choose 1 or 2 or 3 most fundamental problems for your perspective, so we can consider that. That you can just think about it for a second and write it in the chat, and then we can collect that also in our research.
Hello, Winfred.
Yeah.
I didn't get that because I'm hearing a lot of silence. Maybe just a little bit more context for the question. Said if you can leave the job and the work and maybe focus on maybe the globe to see what solutions could help globally. Was that the context, maybe?
Yeah, I first want to do the problems and then the solutions. So first the question.
Right now, there's not problems,
What's the biggest problem you think in this area? And then the next exercise we'll do is about what are the most valuable solutions that you think we could scale to make them much bigger and much more valuable for the world.
I think we just need to have better salesmen for healthy food. We have really good salespeople for unhealthy food. And if I'm looking at, how do I put this? I think sometimes what people on this call have mentioned already is literally a mindset change. The problem I would mention would be people's minds when it comes to healthy eating or what healthy eating is. Or because if you look at the information we have out there, let me give an example of my country's context. An impoverished family will farm over an acre of maize, yeah? Mm-hmm. They'll sell that maize and probably get a few shillings to send their kids to school and maybe pay for other utilities and other amenities they might want. But at the end of the day, they will be starving without food and they also won't have any vegetables or fruits. And then they will say that the fruits and vegetables are expensive. They have land they can cultivate. They plant almost every season. But because the fruits and vegetables don't fetch that much on the market, they do not grow them. So I think the biggest thing would be to get better salesmen for healthy food. If you can sell healthy food and make it a big deal, we wouldn't even have to sensitize people a lot, because salesmen do a great job when it comes to publicity.
Yeah, okay. Thanks. I see Regina is also adding, everyone is adding something. That's great. I'm just reading them for a second.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead, Regina. You can all add something. Yeah.
I see there is a bit of direction towards increasing production. Then I also remember I read something where they were trying to understand if increasing production would.
I didn't quite understand it, Regina. The sound was not so good.
One food item per farm, for example, they have fruits on the same farm, vegetables on the same farm. And this paper had reviewed articles from Somalia, different countries, Ethiopia and Brazil, I think. I'll try to look for the paper. And what was interesting is that it was just one paper. I don't know what others say. It was interesting to know that while we think that diversifying the items per garden will increase nutrition security for that particular farming household, it did not increase as much as when the focus was not on diversifying this garden, but rather commercializing that one food crop, that one cash crop the person is growing, and making sure they're earning sufficient money from farming, and then they would afford to buy a different foods to diversify their diet. So action on increasing people's economic status for those who are in the rural areas is actually showing to be stronger in terms of nutrition security. While for the urban people, it's really the diversity.
Yeah, I didn't quite get the last, but it's more or less, did you kind of say it's a little bit the opposite for the people in the city than in the rural areas? In the rural areas, it's more money and commerce. And in the city, maybe it's more about bringing the food closer to them and diversity closer to their home. Is that it? Yes, maybe? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Who else? Nelson is raising his hands. Go ahead, Nelson.
Thank you, Wilfred. Now that we have dietitians here, I was really looking forward to have their take on GMOs. What do they think? Just that's the question, because we have a lot of information going around. Sometimes we fear even consuming that food, and also now that markets know people are aware of this, you'll find that an organic banana costs a few shillings more than the genetically tasteless modified one. So of course also that also feeds into the consumption habits of the people. So I don't know what the the dietitians we have on the group think about this.
I think Regina wants to answer. Regina?
Okay, I want to start by asking everyone to be open-minded as I talk about this GMO discussion. I could tell a bit of bias coming in with the tasteless GMO aspect. So indeed, indigenous foods are tasty. They're very, very tasty. It's very true. But then also, I think that our communities have been totally taken to the side of anything. I'm not only talking, oh my God.
Regina, maybe it helps if you talk a bit closer to the microphone or change something, because the sound sometimes drops.
Jesus, maybe another dietitian could weigh in. I don't know.
Yeah. Please, somebody. Maybe, well, I'm not a dietitian, but Nelson, maybe I can give a little. Okay, there is a dietitian.
No, I want to hear from you, Wilfred.
No, I am more a lawyer, economist, and government. And we've had this GMO discussion in Europe a while ago, and there has been in the end the scientific community seemed to move towards. Okay, it's healthy enough, so they went forward with it. But what we also see is that it also increases the power of some companies. So it creates at a certain, there is like patent rights and intellectual property. So in some cases, the small farmers can't do their own seeds anymore, can't use. So there is now a problem or a perceived problem of monopolization of seeds and monopolization of agriculture in some way. And so there's an economic and social risk also, besides the dietitian view, like that. So maybe now a dietitian can add, but there's also an economic and a governmental question to if some companies own the intellectual property rights of the seeds and the food. Who else wants to say something about GMOs?
Personally, when it comes to GMOs, how do I put this? I know it's a very politically sensitive matter. It's much more political matter and commercial matter than it is a health matter, because most of the people who debate this GMO challenge are usually either legislators or big companies in the farming industry. I agree with what Wilfred said. It really gives a lot of power to these domestic companies. But when it comes to the scientific form of it, it's quite a trick question, because usually these GMOs, what happens is that they're seedless, yeah?
Yes.
And some of the seeds in some of these fruits and vegetables are actually supposed to give you some health benefit. So that's the one disadvantage I would probably mention. The other thing would be that if you have a fruit that you eat and you can't plant and grow again, that makes you immediately food insecure. It means that you have to depend on cash to buy that food. So among other things, this GMO kind of food is genetically modified. And what I know about genetic modification is that it can take even as long as a century before you realize the challenges faced by a genetic modification. For example, people have eaten sausages for I don't know how long, yeah? I know some people must have known before that these things must cause cancer, yeah? But they did not release that information up to now. It was only until a point where it was just too much that the World Health Organization had to mention it and classify them as foods that cause cancer. So sausages are in the same class as smoking cigarettes, literally, when it comes to causing cancer. But that was after a very long time. After a lot of people had eaten sausages, a lot of people had cancer and died because of eating sausages. And it takes a very long time. And so long as somebody is running the money muscle behind it, I'm quite skeptical. And the scientific research is not funded enough to look for problems in GMOs. They usually look for the benefits. And being a scientist myself, I know how many errors can be in research. I know how bias can affect results. I know how a discussion at the end of a thesis can be put in favor of whoever funded it. So
Monsanto.
Yeah, exactly. So you see all those examples. It's something that you have to really it's really political matter, because it doesn't matter much what scientists say. As we've seen in this pandemic, sometimes the politician is the one who becomes the scientist, depending on the benefits. Yeah, that's it from me.
Okay, I'm also looking a little bit at the clock. Maybe we can wrap up. Nelson, your hand is still up. Is that from?
No, please. I'll put it down.
Put it down. Yeah, I'm just going to open the floor to anyone who wants to make some closing remarks or something you've learned, something that you found interesting. Maybe what we're trying to do is take notes of all this and then make the link with personal decisions. And we are also thinking and looking forward to collaborate with you in the future on trying to build bigger solutions that can help more people. You're all working on smaller scale things, but maybe together we can build larger solutions that have more effects. So that's how we look at this. Maybe you and who else wants to make some concluding remarks? You're free to do so. Regina is dropping in and dropping out.
My final remark would be this. If we're going to go big scale, it's very good to have healthy food produced on big scale, but it's not very helpful if the people who are going to consume the food have, limited mindsets towards that food. If I was to back a project on healthy food, I would really, really, really back, a global campaign or advertisement campaign where you have a banana on commercial and say, eat bananas, do this and this, something like that, because you will not go even an hour watching television and not find a fast food or a fizzy drink, a processed drink, or sweetened drink on your television, on your radio, even on big banners. But you're not going to find a humble cabbage on a billboard, So I would recommend anybody in the world to heavily invest in campaigning to advertise those foods, because nobody really does that because it's not so much commercialized. There's not much commercial benefit to advertising a cabbage, but there is much more benefit to advertising an energy drink or an alcoholic drink. So if that would be my last parting remark.
Okay, thanks, Ivan. Anyone else, some big suggestions or some final words?
I guess I could say a lot. I am really glad I got to get into this group for a little bit. I used to be in the alcohol industry, and there's so much money there. And it came to a point where they said, oh, I can't do my cooking classes if I'm going to continue working for them. And I decided to invest in myself and healthy eating as number one. And I had to bite the bullet, so to speak, and walk away from a very good paying job in order to invest my own life and my mission of teaching healthy cooking. And I have not regretted one day of it. And I think there is hope going forward. As I said earlier, I live in Atlanta and we are home of Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola had to diversify because nobody was buying Coca-Cola. So as much, I haven't, if you've seen what they've had to get into juices and club sodas and coconut waters and all of that in their portfolio. So I think that is telling. It only took a good 30 years, but to start diversifying after, sweetened drinks. But to me, I still cannot believe how much money Coca-Cola holds in the palm of their hand for stuff that will make you overweight and unhealthy and proven. If nobody listens to the CDC now, when are they ever going to listen? I mean, they can't even get the mask mandate straight. But thinking about all the things or the power that, World Health Organization has, or all of this going through this pandemic and all of the things, like healthy eating still has not really bumped up. They're maybe talking about vitamins and zinc and vitamin D and vitamin C, to stay healthy and keep your immune system up. But like, wow, they're so committed to keeping people sick, or it's not healthcare, it's sick care here in America, that's for sure. But it's like management, and people are free to choose what they want to eat, or and then there are people who are not free to choose but just have to eat what they are given. And if we were to have a society politically charged, and some of them want socialism and equal the playing field, yet their tactics are not in place because their priorities aren't about the wellness of people, and it seems to be always in the hands of the money makers and the producers and the marketers and the products, and people, and the sugar industry has had a great run through the 20th century. But let's look at it's International Year of the Fruits and Vegetables, and I'm sure less than 0.2% even know that it's the International Year of Fruits and Vegetables. But I think if we market and just keep on healthy is becoming more popular, but I also feel like unhealthy is just like our politics are dividing our country. Healthy and unhealthy are dividing as well. So the unhealthy are getting more unhealthy, and the healthier are kind of going over the top, and looking for perfectionism when we're just looking for balance. So I don't know if that answers the questions, but yeah, I've never been more committed to having healthy lifestyle, and I feel kind of like an island. I feel like I'm kind of out here alone on health and wellness a lot of times, especially in Atlanta. Anyway, those are my 2 cents or 3 cents. Or
Thanks, Megan. I hope you realize that at least this little group hopes to not give you the alone feeling.
Yes.
I don't know if, because I'm not sure I have to follow up whether Esther has your email address, because I don't think you signed up via the Eventbrite channel. But
I thought I did, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
if you want to stay in the loop, then maybe it's good to add your email address here, just so I'm 100% sure.
Okay.
Esther has it. But thanks. Regina?
Okay, I fell off, but just to summarize, Megan, thanks for that. And I say that if we are looking at people who are sick, already sick, they are yearning to change their diet, let's talk to them about the benefits. They know they are in pain and they are willing to change that pain, but that's just a small percentage. There's a percentage we have to save from reaching that pain. But that percentage, I think the best strategy is to keep it simple. Like most of us say, let's just have one goal: to make healthy eating infectious. By this, I mean, I'm sure my grandfather ate the way he ate because his parent cooked that food. So if we can make healthy choices infectious, and I think that Megan's concept of teaching people healthy cooking is actually one of the things that solves the root causes of this, because it starts with the fork, starts with the 3 meals you have every day. And if we can change that choice, swap a plate for another healthy plate, we could maybe infect other people with this whole concept of eat healthy versus the other food. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. Yeah, it started slow with few people, but I am getting inspired and grateful again for all the wisdom and the perspectives in the group. Thank you very much. Esther sometimes says I am not bringing enough energy, and the energy is low, and this can take a while. And I apologize again, Esther, if it happened. But I think this was a very interesting conversation. We'll do our best on our side to bring it together. And yeah, we hope to stay in touch. We'll keep you in the loop with the newsletter, and we'll the challenge this year is that every month we do another topic. So we don't always know exactly how to proceed with one theme. We just hope to bring all the themes together in batches, and we're going to think about how we can do that better than what we've done before. But I think this was very interesting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This was great.
Cool. And we didn't talk about our personal challenges because everybody here talks like as if they're all got their food stuff perfectly in order. I just had a fries today with some mayonnaise, and so just on my personal front, I also occasionally just don't eat healthy and don't move enough. But this talk was also very helpful for me to be reminded. Thank you. Yeah. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Don't beat yourself up. You become healthy.
Try baked rutabagas. You cut them like French fries.
I like vegan's approach to this.
I put in my culprit once in a while. I do have some chips and fish, so yeah.
Hey, and then we remember that we're all human too.
Yeah,
exactly.
Everyone here has the same mindset. No good or bad. There's bad or good portions. You can eat everything really.
Ah, but for those who don't know Regina, she's like very fit.
Who is very fit? Regina. Yeah, I'm guessing. You all sound very fit to me.
I like that, Bakuba. Thank you. When you come to Uganda, make sure you hike the Rwenzori Mountain.
Okay. All right. I'll try to get fit by then.
We walk 3 miles a day here, so.
That's great.
Yeah, so.
All right. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Have a good evening.
Bye.